Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by WorkHuman. Thanks for joining me for your quick briefing on what's important in the world of work. My name is Steve Boese. Today on the show, we're digging into some brand new research from Nobel Prize winning economist Claudia Goldin from MIT called The Downside of Fertility, in which the professor describes how greater educational and economic opportunities for women, combined with generations of men who are clinging to antiquated ideas about gender roles, have led to sharp declines in fertility around the world. And if you care about how macroeconomic and societal issues impact the world of work, then you'll want to stay tuned. Let's break it down. The birth rate in the U.S. first started to fall decades ago as the economy expanded, particularly in years following the post-World War II period. The decline was aided by the advent of the pill. Women suddenly had a greater ability to postpone childbearing. They could marry later, get more education, and gain more agency in the workforce. But as the downside of fertility points out, aside from the temporary jump in U.S. birth rates during the baby boom, where we saw the total fertility rate peak at 3.74 in 1957, the U.S. birth rate has been on a steady decline for over a century. The fertility rate in the U.S. was historically high, with a total fertility rate of 7 live births in 1810, declining to 4 by 1880 and 3 by 1933. The baby boom rebound began in 1946, with the total fertility rate peaking in 1957, again driven by post-war economic conditions. But the introduction of the contraceptive pill in 1960 did mark a turning point, leading into a sustained decline in birth rates over the following decades. But as the paper notes, it was not just the wider availability of reliable and effective birth control that has contributed to the decline of the U.S. birth rate. Increased agency among women is probably the primary driver of declining fertility rates, influenced by education and expanded career opportunities. Women's enhanced autonomy allows for greater control over marriage and childbearing decisions. And we see that the ability for women to balance careers and family life is crucial for maintaining birth rates. And this balance is impacted by how men show up or don't show up as partners and fathers. As Professor Goldin writes, quote, "Even though women's enhanced agency is an important factor in determining fertility in most developed nations today, its role has also depended on the ability of women to be assured they can reap the financial and personal rewards from their education while also raising their children. The more men can credibly signal that they will be dependable dads and not duds, the higher will be the birth rate in the face of greater female agency. In other words, the commitment level of fathers significantly impacts women's decisions to have children, with reliable partners leading to higher birth rates. The problem is, as most women know, determining the commitment level of men is a guessing game, or to use the economic research lens, an unknown. And in the paper, Professor Goldin introduces a theoretical model that illustrates the trade-offs women face between education, career, and childbearing. Women can either pursue higher education or enter the workforce, both of which impact their decisions on childbearing. Crucially, the model highlights the importance of dependable fathers in enabling women to balance work and family. The paper shows that the likelihood of having children decreases if men are perceived as unreliable, leading to lower birth rates. Goldin writes in the paper, quote, "Rapid economic growth provides little time for traditions to catch up with economic reality. Men are more attached to the traditions of their parents and grandparents than are women, who have considerably more to gain by breaking with them. Men are not inherently more traditional than women. Rather, they benefit more from patriarchal conditions." The paper suggests that improving global economic conditions, in-country migration patterns, and men's reluctance to accept modern and evolving gender roles are all factors in this global phenomenon. But at its core, the problem, if you consider falling birth rates a problem, rests on the men who will not commit to and deliver on shared parental and home responsibilities and bring more to the table than their adherence to outdated and repressive gender norms. In summary, men gain more from partially remaining in the past. Women gain more from taking fuller advantage of the present, when they can increase their education and employment opportunities and their economic security. Women's lives are better, richer, and safer with their hard-won progress. The downside of fertility is that greater female autonomy, in the absence of sufficient change, and we are really talking about change for men here, will guarantee support and produce lower birth rates. If men can continue to expect women to shoulder the greatest part of childcare and household duties while also expecting them to pursue their education and careers at the same time, then birth rates globally will continue to see this downward trend. So if you want to fix the problem with declining birth rates, start there. Start with the men. That's it for today. Thanks so much for listening, and a big thank you to WorkHuman for supporting the Workplace Minute. If this episode made you think about how the women in your workforce manage these choices in their lives, please share it with a colleague. This has been the Workplace Minute, and I'm Steve Boese.